up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, leave a comment, and definitely hit that notification bell so every time we drop a video, you can be notified. On another note, man, grab the book, Blood on the Razor Wire. I promise you will not be disappointed. Got a special guest for you today. Bringing my boy One Eye Mark on the show. We're going to talk about, his life and some of the things he's been involved in, some of the things that, happened with him in prison, the things that happened to him in his life. Mark, tell the people who you are, man. Talk a little bit about yourself so they know who you are, who we're dealing with tonight.
All right, what's up, Chad, man? I'm Mark Loria I'm from Baltimore County originally. I was raised in an all-black neighborhood. I was getting in trouble early on from the age of 8. I think I caught my first charge, man. But I didn't start going to prison until I was about 19 or 20. I got jammed up on a possession with intent to distribute a handgun, and I bailed out, and they called me on another possession with intent to distribute. So that was around 2000, end of 2000, beginning of 2001. I got locked up in a detention center in one of these little far counties called Carroll County, where everybody from Baltimore goes to get fucking money. You know what I mean? Shit was triple out there. You know what I mean? So back then a gram go for $100. You know what I mean? When back then you would probably get it for $40 in Baltimore. You know what I mean? But a little bit about my upbringing, right? My mother had murdered my father when I was about 1 year old, and she stabbed him 13 times with a butcher knife. And I was in the bed while it actually happened. She had postpartum depression, where it's a difficult thing to explain or whatever. But basically, she got 10 years. You know what I mean? And I never got to meet my mother until later on in my life. I met her 2 times on a visit in prison, and actually in the county jail. But I'll get to that in a little while. So basically, I had never been locked up as a juvenile. You know what I mean? My peoples had a little bit of money. So every time I got jammed up, they would pay for a lawyer. And I never got to see the juvenile system. I think if I did, I probably wouldn't have fucked around as an adult. You know what I mean? But so boom, I get jammed up on this possession with intent to distribute cocaine and possession with intent heroin. I paid $18,000 for my lawyer. I gave him 10 for the first case while I was on the street, and he wanted another 10 more. So I think my peoples came up with around 8,000. You know what I mean? Because when I got jammed up, they got everything. You make all this money selling drugs, but as soon as you get caught, the government takes all that shit. You know how it goes. You know what I mean? Anything they can put a price tag on, and you can't, say you pay for it with legitimate ways, they take that shit. So boom. I'm in Carroll County Detention Center. I'm on no bail, and I'm fighting trying to get a bail. So I sit there. I waive my Hicks, which is the fast and speedy trial law, and I waive my Hicks right because my lawyer's trying to find the right judge. He's plugged in with all the judges. So every time we go in front of a judge, he's like, "No, this ain't the right one. This ain't the right one." So basically, I waive my Hicks. So I'm sitting out there for 13 months waiting on a trial. Now the state. It's very uncommon, unless it's during COVID, like now, you know what I mean, that you sit that long. So basically, we got in front of a judge that he wanted. The plea deal was 5 years off suspended, but 18 months DOC. And I was already on probation for possession with intent marijuana. I was backing up 3 years on that. So I took the plea, and a stand-in lawyer for the state came, and basically he got it to where I got 18 months flat. So I did 15 on 18 months in Carroll County, and then I went to DOC. And I had 2 years consecutive DOC out of the 3. So the crazy thing is I did 15 months on 18 in Carroll County Detention Center, and I did 6 months on 2 years in DOC. You know what I mean? Because it was a nonviolent charge. It was a marijuana, possession with intent marijuana. So basically, the first time I went in there, I didn't really face no hardships. It's not like any other state. Maryland, there's no segregation. White people deal with black people deal with white. It's not a very big AD presence. And anybody who pushes that racial line basically gets whacked. You know what I mean? They don't get shown love by the whites or the blacks. So basically, the ABs and anything racial is basically the minority, which is very uncommon. You know what I mean? Being though, I hear you talk about the feds all the time, and it's totally opposite. So I did 6 months on 2 years, and I paroled out. I had a drug program, but at the time they were switching the drug program over to where you had to go to a different facility. So anybody that made parole to that drug program, they didn't have to do it. They got paroled straight to the street. So I come home, and I've been home less than a month. I'm at my co-defendant's house, and it's like 30 or 40 people in and out this house. It's a crack house. It's a mansion broken up into single efficiencies. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting back in the game. You know what I mean? So I get a ball. I start out small. I get a ball. We flip that ball, man. From within like 2 months, I'm at a big eighth already. You know what I mean? I'm at four and a half ounces. So 126 grams. So boom, I'm messing around with all types of bitches or whatever, all types of girls. But I got a main girlfriend. So my main girl at the time, we were together from like, I was in like 8th grade and she was in like 6th or 7th grade. So we're messing around, and mind you, at this time I'm not getting high off nothing. All I'm doing is drinking. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have a stipulation on my probation. So one night I come back to her house and I find a whole bunch of empty vials. And I'm not stupid. I know it's heroin. You know what I mean? So boom, we get into a big fight and we break up. So when we break up, I start messing with a stripper. So my ex-girl calls me up and she's like, I don't know who you're messing with, blah, 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 but motherfuckers are talking about kidnapping you and killing you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, fuck it. I buy a 1911 with a lemon shot. I buy a 380 and I buy a 22 with an interchangeable barrel. You know what I mean? I got all of them dirt cheap from a dude out of Virginia. And, I'm riding around strapped now. So in that same house that I came up in, my co-defendant is still living there. So I'm messing with this. I'm talking to this girl. She's like in her late 30s. I put her onto the game. She never sold crack a day in her life. She don't get high though. You know what I mean? That's why I utilized her, because I felt like she was an asset because she didn't use nothing. She just smoked grass. And I put her in the house. Well, mind you, something happened at the house one night. People shoot out the windows. And she had ended up stealing like 20 grams of crack from me. So I cut her off at the time, but now she's living in my crack house, my main money maker. So boom, I cut her off for like a month or two. Now, mind you, this isn't a 4.5 month period, bro. I'm, balling out of control. I'm jamming. Time's going so fast, but in my mind, it's going so slow because I just did 2 years. And so I end up fucking with her again. She owes me money for an ounce of powder. I taught her how to cook ready and all this shit. You know what I mean? I'm getting her to say something so I can make sure I can still hear you.
We're good.
No, I can't. Okay, beautiful. So look, I put her, I'm fronting her, and she builds up, and I think at the time she was buying like half, and I front her another half. So boom, she basically tried to beat me out of my money. My co-defendant wrecked her car. She put him out, and she owes me like, $900, $1,000 or something. You know what I mean? And so he's like, I'm gonna go over there and whack her. You know what I mean? He's like, give me one of the guns. Me not thinking,
Hold
I'm
on,
like,
man.
fuck it.
For $900, man?
For $900, dude. I didn't know he was getting high though. You know what I mean? And my co-defendant is off the fucking chain. Like he's about that life, straight up.
White dude, black
dude? White dude. Yup, named Steven. If he'll probably run across this one. He watches shit like this, but I ain't in contact with him no more because I ain't got no social media accounts.
Was he part of DMI?
No. He never joined up or nothing. But so boom, he's talking about he's gonna whack her. So not thinking, instead of me just giving him the gun and letting him handle it, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go with you. You know what I mean? So I don't drink that much. So I drink I buy a fifth of Belvedere that night. My girl wanted it, and she tasted it and didn't drink none of it. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm not letting this shit go to waste. I'm driving, and I drink the whole fifth. Now, mind you, I'm not drunk at all until I stand up. As soon as I stand up out of the car, I start blacking out. All I remember is telling him, give me the gun. You know what I mean? Because I don't really want to go through with this. So I get the gun, but mind you, when we go in there, I'm blacking out. All I remember is cocking the gun. When I cocked the gun, I was so close to the girl, I knocked all her teeth out. You know what I mean? Straight up. I wake up, I'm on the couch, sprawled out on the couch with the gun still in my hand. She's in the middle of the floor, teeth all on the floor, bleeding like a motherfucker. So boom, they're calling my phone. They're like, yo, where the fuck are you at? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? They're like, get out of that house. You just fucking pistol whip shorty. You know what I mean? They're like, she's bleeding on the floor. I stand up. I didn't even see her. When I stand up, she's still fucking in a heap, crying on the floor. You know what I mean? And I go to like tap her, you know what I mean, to see what's up. And she looks up, her whole shit is busted. Her lips are busted. Her teeth are gone. I mean, she didn't get high. You know what I mean? She wasn't a bad bitch, but she was intact. She still had all her teeth and, you know, kept herself up.
Uh-huh.
So mind you, I'm freaking out because I didn't mean to do none of this shit. But I mean, alcohol is a fucked up drug. You black out. You know what I mean? So I go to work the next day. I'm working a bullshit job right around by her house, and next thing I know, I'm in the bathroom, and the fucking the ATF raids my work. They raid my work.
Is that how you catch your Fed case?
No, I had a state case. The ATF was with the state. I've never been to the Feds. I did all my time in the Maryland state system. Okay. So boom. Now mind you, my first bit when I came home before all that happened, I went from Carroll County to MCTC, which is Maryland Correctional Training Center. It's called the New Jail. And the myth is, if you're under like 30 and you catch your first bit, that's where they send you. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit wild. That's where I was with the dude Mikey that you met in the Fed. All right, so boom, the ATF raids my work, and when I come out the bathroom, I'm thinking it's some stick-up kid. So as soon as I come out, they rush me. I start fighting with the police. So I get locked up. They give me a no bail. I'm on parole. I'm finishing out my, I did 6 months. So I had roughly 18 months of parole left. You know what I mean? They violate my parole. I'll go out Towson, Baltimore County Detention Center. So I'm out Towson, and I'm playing cards with these older white dudes. And they've been through the system. So they're telling me all this racial shit. Hey, don't fuck with no black dudes. When you go to MCIJ, because that's where all the parole violators went, Maryland Correctional Institute, Jessup. It is off the fucking chain there. But what they were telling me is a straight lie, because Maryland is not segregated like that. We all intermingle. So when I go there, I'm just hanging with all these white dudes, but none of them are from my neighborhood. They're all from like East Baltimore, Essex, Dundalk. And so they don't know me. So mind you, me hanging out with them, immediately they're saying I'm a weirdo. They're saying they don't know what I'm locked up for. I could be gay. They're talking behind my back. So when I find out about this shit, I confront them all, right? In the cell. They're all smoking weed in the cell. And mind you, I got a home invasion charge, which at that time carried 50 years, up to 50 years. I got a home invasion. I got first degree assault, second degree assault, 3 handgun charges, a burglary 1, and a fourth degree burglary. So I'm facing a lot of fucking time, bro. You know what I mean? And so when I confront these dudes, I'm like, fuck them. I'm not fucking with them. But mind you, what them old white dudes were saying about stick to your own kind was in the back of my head. So it was only 3 people in the tier that I fucked with. 2 guys that I played pinochle with, an older black dude and a younger black dude. And then I was talking to this one dude named Twan. He had turned 3 years, and he had already had 16 straight in. He turned 3 years into already 16. He stabbed the police at Supermax at Chesapeake Correctional Facility. It's a federal joint now, but it was called Supermax because if you fucked up, that's where you went. You know what I mean? Like if you got years on lockup, that's where they would send you. So mind you, I'm playing pinochle with this old black dude and this young kid. I didn't know he was trying to become a blood, right? So I started socializing with everybody and get to know everybody on the tier. Mainly the main gangs were BGF and Bloods. So I didn't know he was trying to become a blood. So we have not been to the store for 2 weeks. It's called Dry Week. Maryland does this shit like every couple months where you don't go to the store for 2 weeks and then you can go and you can double up. So mind you, I still had a lot of money uptown. I still had like 15 or 20 grand. I knew if I caught like, 10 years, I would be all right. You know what I mean? I would just have to budget my money. You know what I mean?
Ain't that a crazy thing to think, hey, if I go to jail for 10 years, $15,000 will last? It's a crazy thought,
right.
Isn't it?
It's a fruit. I already had it. Yes, it's insane to think like that. But for some reason, I'm not hearing on this side of my headphones. Hold on one second. If you fucking thing, you know what I mean? So
I want to get into
what happened?
I really want to get into the prison stuff, man, and DMI. But go ahead.
All right, now look, I'm gonna explain something to you. This is what I'm getting at. Right. So mind you, when I'm fucking with these two dudes, and I'm starting to socialize, now we're ready to go to state, we're ready to go to double up week. The night before, I'm the only one with shit left in commissary. So one of the blood dudes asked me, hey, can I get some drink mix? I only had 2 shots left. I'm like, yeah, but don't tell nobody because I'm not trying to get into nothing with nobody over some shit. He goes and tells the only dude that I fuck with. He calls me down in front of all them. He's like, yo, I got to holler at you. I'm like, holler at me now. He's like, yo, can I get, and we were on playing time. So I'm like, yo, you're beat before you can even get it out. But I thought we were on playtime. You know what I'm saying? Immediately he goes into bitch, whore, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm against the wall. He's in front of me. I step up and I poke him in his chest. I say, yo, don't do that, yo. When I poked him in his chest, they all circled around me. Ray fucked me up, right? So I go in the cell. I'm in the cell with this old racial black dude. He hated white people. You know what I mean? And I tell him something, what happened. He's like, Shorty, just leave it alone, leave it alone. So that night I go to bed with intentions of leaving this alone, right? Man, I had a dream about hitting him in the head with my lock. So the next morning I get up, go to double up. I come back and lock my fucking locker, put both bags. It was 2 net bags full of shit. You know what I mean? I spent like almost $160. I lock my locker. He's coming out as one of his blood dudes cells. And I say, hey, yo, let me holler at you. Before he got the A out of yeah, I punched him in his mouth and knocked him straight out. So I'm over top of him. I could have done him dirty. I'm over top of him. I'm like, bitch, call me a bitch again, see me in the hole. MCIJ is 3 levels. It's the top tier, it's a catwalk going around the tier. It's the flats, and then it's the hole where the laundry machine is and a ping pong table. So I go down there, and he's still laying on the ground. I walk straight down there. They're waking him up, telling him, yo, you got to go fight that white boy. He's like, man, I'm not fighting that white boy. Do you see how big he is? They're like, bitch, you better get the fuck down there and fuck him up, or we're going to fuck you up, right? I'm hearing all this because I'm right down there. Like, he's right here. I'm right down in the hole. So he comes down there. We get to fighting. I got him in a headlock. I'm biting him, fucking trying to slam, but every time I go to slam him, he's grabbed my leg. You know what I mean? So while I got him in a headlock, one of the dudes comes down there. He's like, yo, that's my cousin. I bite him right in front of him. I'm like, so? I bite his ass. He's screaming like a little girl. Ah! So he's like, yo, that's my blood cousin. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm beating on him while I'm telling him, like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. I'm punishing this dude. He turns around, and next thing I know, he comes running at me, hits me in my mouth. that's when two of them come down in the hole. Now I got Shorty in the headlock. I'm trying to fight them off. I got one eye already. So it's hard to see motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to fight these dudes off. And I have fake teeth from my dirt bike accident. You know what I mean? I had a dental bridge. So when they hit me the first time or the second time, it knocked my bridge out. So I'm trying to grab it. I'm on my feet trying to grab the motherfucking teeth because these bitches are worth 10 grand. And I'll put them back in my mouth. They're fucking getting off on me. They're fucking me up. But that one other dude, the BGF dude I was talking to, he calls all of them and they come running down there and they run. They get out of there. Like really, the one runs off the pier because they were just called kitchen workers and he was a kitchen worker. So they tell the dudes like, yo, now mind you, like a week before, all the white people checked in and went on PC. You know what I mean? Over a drug debt. It was only me and a dude with 50 years left on the tier that was white boys, right? So basically, they went to them and they say, yo, is that shit dead or what? They're like, no, we're going to fly this white boy the fuck up out of here, bit. They're like, nah, he stood his own ground. Either you're going to see him head up or that shit is going to be left alone. You know what I mean? So long story short, we go back down in the hole and I punish the dude again. You know what I mean? So mind you, that's how my name got out. You know what I mean? Like, that's how people started recognizing me, who I was, because it almost started a war between the BGF and the Bloods. You know what I mean? So, mind you, this is in 2004, and like summer of 04. So I get my time. I get 15, all suspended, but 7, first 5, no parole, right? My co-defendant got 5, no parole, but he was a subsequent offender. And when he got sentenced, they would not let me hear what he said, period. And it wasn't in my transcript. So you know, and I know, if they don't let you hear what he's got to say at sentencing, and it's not in my transcripts, what do you think he said? He blamed this shit all on me. You know what I mean? So I can't say that for sure. He's still my man. He's a little bit slow. He's about that life. But like I said, I can't say for certain. But come on, man. It's not in my transcripts, and they wouldn't let me hear it. But anyway, so I'm at Rockbridge, which is a medium check-in spot and a minimum together. So if you get checked in from a minimum or pre-release and they're raising you up to medium, they send you to Rockbridge first. It's all dorms. It's 96 people in one dorm, right? And they're all flat. You know what I mean? All floor bunks. So they called it the baby cut because shit was jumping off, I mean, literally every day. So I'm over there, and as soon as I get there, I buy a knife. It's a dude that I know from MCIJ, and he's selling knives. Like they're breaking the window arm off, and they're making 2 knives out the window arm. You know what I mean? And they're putting them on grinders. You know what I mean? So it's really nice. Like my knife, I could actually cut. You know, jailhouse joints, you sharpen them up on the ground and it's not really sharp. You can just puncture. You know what I mean? But this bitch was nice. I paid $10 for it.
$10.
Actually, I paid $2.
$10 for a knife,
a
real knife.
Yeah. Well, hey, and that bitch was nice, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. A couple of times, just showing it saved my life. You know what I mean?
Was everybody carrying a knife in there?
Just the gang members at the time. And the main gang members, like I said, it was a big boom on Bloods. You know what I mean? And then it was BGF. You know what I mean? Maryland is a state run by BGF. You know what I mean? So I was with one of the main dudes down there. So, like I said, my name got out there from that shit that happened at MCIJ, that I'll stand up for myself and I'm going against the grain. So one of the white dudes that I was on the tier with comes over there, and I didn't know he was a part of the white group. So they pull him up and say, hey, man, you need to bring him the fuck home. Like, he's a stand-up dude. Now, mind you, this is coming from one of the BGF dudes, because now that they stood up for me, I was fucking with them real heavy because, like I said, they knew I would stand on my own too. You know what I mean? So anytime they caught or something came through, they would show me love. You know what I mean?
That's been
Whether I
my.
had to
Let me
buy.
tell you something. That's been my experience with Baltimore dudes in federal prison, right? Like they were real. Every Baltimore dude I ever ran into, man, pretty much was a respectful dude, and they were on some man time, right? Where men respect men, man. Like they weren't on no racial shit, man. I had a dude that had a life sentence that was out of Baltimore, man, and I helped, man. I kept helping him. I got an organization to help him, and he ended up getting out, man. But hey, man, a lot of Baltimore dudes are good dudes, man.
Yeah. So look, so they pulled me up. And when the white guys pulled me up, they're telling me, hey, you know, we heard you stand up. We heard you, you know, you keep a joint. And like I said, at that time, I was the only white dude that was walking around with a joint. And the reason people knew is because, like, say they did a big shakedown, I would be taping my shit to the outside of the window. You know what I mean? Or like if we're in the yard and something jumps off, I'll go over to the softball field and bury my shit and then come back and get it. So people seen shit like that. You know what I mean? So they pulled me up. And a guy that, oh, by the way, remember I was talking about my high school sweetheart, my girlfriend, that I found out was getting high? Well, before I got locked up, she overdosed and died, right? I left her, got with another girl. She called me one night trying to hook up, and she overdosed and died. Now, mind you, the reason why I bring that up, so a guy comes into jail, and he was really good friends with her. So I find out he's a part of the group too. So he pulls me up, and he's telling me he's with this and that. I thought they were white bloods. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing about no DMI or none of that shit, right? So they pulled me up. You know, they put me on probation. Next thing I know, you know, I become a member. You know what I mean? So mind you, at Brockbridge, shit was off the chain. Shit was popping off all the time. And the way we had the jail is, if any gangs caught, they broke down with all the gangs. They showed love. You know what I mean? So basically any missions that came up was fueled by money. You know what I mean? So a couple things popped up. I caught a ticket for some tobacco. So mind you, they didn't give me lockup time, but I was in a bad category. So something came up to where a guy was catching, and he was really shaking the jail. He was catching a lot of tobacco. So this is when we functioned as one with the BGF. We were on the same page as them. You know what I mean? So basically a mission came up. So when we went in the dorm the first time, the guy got paranoid and ran out the other door. So
hold on, let me stop you for a minute, because people are going to watch this interview and they're going to wonder, okay, so catching, that means he's getting the package. He's getting something where you can make money. He's not in a gang. Yeah, he's just a solo dude doing himself.
No, he was a solo dude. He had a CO in his pocket. Come to find out, he had a little dyke bitch in his pocket. He was bringing him in like some weed and shit. But basically, Brockbridge, the way it was set up, you could get shit thrown right over the fence, bro. Like, I'd be on the weight bench.
White dude or black dude?
He was a black dude. Black dude.
So DMI and BGF were like, man, this dude's getting money, and we're taking it.
And he ain't showing no love.
So we're taking
He's not showing no love. Yeah, they basically, that's, and they came to him already and say, yo, we know you're catching, show some love, and everything will be good. He's like, nah, I ain't breaking down. That's what he tells the dudes, because he was cool with the higher up dude, with the higher up BGF dude. But that don't mean shit. Just because you're cool with somebody higher up, there's other powers that be. You know what I mean? And they can go above that shit. You know what I mean? So basically, he thought because he was best friends with the higher up, nothing was going to happen. But the whole time, they went above his head and did a vote. He had to go. So we all run in the dorm. He sees us and runs out the other door, right? So they all call a meeting. I stayed in his dorm and just sat there and talked to other people that I fucked with. So he comes back in. The police made him lock in his dorm. So when he comes back in, he's eyeing me. He's like looking at me like, what the fuck is he doing in my dorm? So I sit there for an hour till they call break. So they all run back in, and he's in the back of the dorm. They come up to me. They say, yo, grab him. Now, mind you, the dude was as big as me. You know what I mean? I was like 270 back then. The dude was as big as me, but all he did was run the track and lift light weights, right? I looked at him. I said, yeah, all right. So they're thinking I'm going to grab this motherfucker, right? So I go right up to him. Not like he's coming up the aisle of the dorm. And I say, hey, yo, let me holler at you. Before he got that A out of yeah, I fucking stole him. Boom. I knocked him out on his feet, bro. Look, he was asleep straight up on his feet. Now, there was another one-eyed BGF dude, right, named Savoy, right? He comes over my shoulder and just goes like this, taps him. The dude falls over like a cartoon, bro. His feet flop up in the air like he was like stiff as a board. His feet go up in the air. Motherfuckers just jumped on top of him and started stabbing the shit out of him. They had him in the headlock, just stabbing him in the face, bro. Wop, wop, wop. So every time, like, my man is kicking him, right? Now, mind you, while he's kicking him, he woke him back up. So every time he kicks him, I'm hitting him. And the other dude's just working at his face, bro. He's got him in a headlock, just fucking stabbing this dude, right? So our little peoples are going through his shit. They get nothing. They get absolutely nothing. So it's like, you know, it's like 10 of them in the dorm, and it's like almost 10 of us, right? So everybody's shooting out of the dorm, not trying to get caught up in this shit. Mind you, I'm still over there fucking banging the dude in the face, and my man is kicking him. When he stopped kicking him, he was the last one out the dorm. So just like when the dude left, one of the little, comrade kids shut the door in the police face. The police immediately came in, and this dude is still on the ground, leaking from his face, all fucked up. You know what I mean? So they pull him out, and everybody's trying to leave out the dorm. They didn't let nobody leave. So if you got jammed up in that dorm, they automatically gave you a stabbing ticket, out of bounds. I mean, and it was like 10 people that were out of bounds, and they got the stabbing and out of bounds. Now, mind you, they have intel, gang intel. You know that. So everybody went up for their ticket. They got caught out of bounds with the stabbing ticket at Brockbridge. So all of them beat it except me and one of my little homeboys that did it with. You know what I mean? So they put us in the bullpen, and they send us back to MCIJ. We get to MCIJ, and we're on walking seg. This is how ghetto the place is. They give us no seg time, no box time. They let us be on walking seg.
I've seen that before. How are the cops over there in that Maryland system? Are they nasty?
Okay, so back then, MCIJ was still all American people from the city. Mainly at Jessup, it was a lot of people, COs from the city, black officers from the city. The white ones were like older and retiring. So I went to MCIJ 3 times, right? By the 3rd time, it was 90% Africans, and they are cop motherfuckers. I watched the African police jump in front of a knife before and get stabbed himself. You know what I mean? Like they're ruthless. Like they don't give a fuck, because you got to figure. Like they had this one dude at the Cut Annex, right? They had this one dude. He was from Africa. He had scars right here and 3 scars. So I'm on lockup. He says, "What happened to your eye?" I say, "Man, what the fuck happened to your face?" He said, "There are tribal rites of passage." He said, "I killed a tiger with a stick and used his claw to cut these fucking marks on his face." Straight up. So that's what type of people you're dealing with. That fight fucking lions and tigers with fucking sticks, bro. They don't give a fuck. If you're stabbing somebody, they're getting in front of it.
Yeah, wow.
It's kind of, yeah, right. So, but mind you, also the Africans, they do not break law like that. You know what I mean? So if you got something, they're going to find it. You know what I mean?
So they're on
the
some
MCIJ.
So these cops they're not African Americans. They're Africans from Africa, and they're on some real cop
Nigeria,
stuff.
Man. Super cops, bro.
Listen, I want to take you over to I want to take you into the DMI stuff, man, if you don't mind a little bit. All right?
Go ahead.
So DMI, what does it stand for? Tell the people. I mean, I know what it is, but you tell the people. What does DMI stand for?
Okay. It stands for Dead Man Incorporated.
Dead
All
Man.
right. Basically, it was a organization, a spinoff of BGF. You know, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. You know what I mean? It was originally created under some contexts that I can't really speak on, but it was mainly for white people. But I mean, they got black brothers, they got Spanish, Chinese, every, you know, the thing about DMI, they accept any race. You know what I mean? And they use that to like as an ideology of power overall. You know what I mean? It's bringing everybody together. You know what I mean?
When you were part of that gang, which I don't know if you still are, or if you're in good standing, or
I'm
whatever.
not. I'm not. I you know, some, you know, it's some controversy on why I left. I'm gonna get into a little bit. So the first time I walked away when a federal indictment hit. When the first federal indictment hit and they locked up the founder, he opened the gates up. So basically I walked away when the gates were open, which there was no repercussions for. So I walked away in beginning of 2012. Now, mind you, when I walked away, I was still functioning. I just wasn't taking no orders. You know what I mean? I was still grouped up with them. They still had me flagged. I was still functioning with them. I just wasn't taking no orders. I was done getting sent on dummy mission. For anybody that is watching that don't know what a dummy mission is, basically, you said it the other day, they turn you into a missile. They don't give a fuck if you're on camera. They don't give a fuck if a CO is watching. They don't give a fuck if it's in front of the warden. If you got to go and I got to do it, it is no set time. It's jump when you're told to jump. You know what I mean? If you're in a gang, I don't give a fuck what gang it is. But if you're told to do something and you don't do it, you either do the mission or you become the mission, straight up. For these little kids watching or any young kids watching, if you think your parents are bad, just think you got to answer to a man that at the end of the day doesn't give two fucks about you, straight up. That's how it is.
Did you get tired of it? Because you're known for putting in work, right? Like you sent me your shots. I read your write-ups. So you had a pretty good reputation of being that dude, man, that go-to guy. Like, yo, Mark will stab you. Mark will hit you in the head with a lock. Mark will put in that work.
Straight up.
So being in a gang like that and having other dudes tell you what to do, were there times where they sent you on a mission where you were like, man, fuck this shit, man. I don't want to do it, but you still went and did it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you, this was my breaking point. So I'm up Cumberland. Now, mind you, Cumberland is maximum 1, okay? There's no higher unless you go to Supermax, right? What Ultramax, they call it. That's North Branch, which is right next to Cumberland. So, mind you, I'm going to get into another story about the most scariest time in my life as an adult or a child, okay?
We might have to do that on part 2, man. We've been on here a long time.
Yeah. I'll do a part 2. I'll do a part 2 with, look. So, I get sent up Cumberland, right? I got 5.5 years in on 10, no parole. But back then, you earned good days on 10, no parole. Even though it had a no parole name, you just couldn't go in front of the parole board. So I'm up there. This little kid that comes into jail, he looks like a little girl. I swear to God, he was maybe like 5'5", 140 pounds, soaking wet with 2 bricks in his pocket. So, mind you, I'm on some not getting high shit. Like, I'm pushing that agenda. Like, we need to stop getting high. This is how we're fucking up. You know what I mean? And mind you, the organization is not built like that. It was built on doing hits for dope. You know what I mean? Straight up. That's how it was built. That's how the name got up. That's how we work. If you got money or you got dope, we're fucking whacking you. Straight up. All right. So, this little kid comes into jail. He's like 5'5". He weighs $140, soaking wet. They say he told. So, mind you, everybody has me in their crosshairs because I'm pushing an agenda where I don't want to use drugs. You know what I mean? So, basically, I'm the one on that mission. But mind you, I'm secondary, right? Because I don't put in hella work. So being secondary, if he fights back, I'm the one that's supposed to step in. So the guy stabbed him 6 times in the neck, right? And I'm beating on the kid. I'm beating on him so much I blacked the fuck out, right? And so we get away with it. It was in a blind spot right in front of the bathroom. But as soon as he runs off the tier, because he's leaking from his neck, you know, his face and his neck, he points straight at me and says, those bitches stabbed me. His exact words. Those bitches stabbed me. And he's pointing directly at me. Mind you, I run to the bathroom. I'm flushing my shirt down the toilet because we got them silver bullets that'll take anything. You know what I mean? What's a silver bullet? A toilet. You can flush a whole sheet down. And so basically, so they come at, they lock us all in. Within an hour or two, they put us on lock. They put us on admin. Okay, so this is like around I don't know, 12 o'clock, right before second rec, or excuse me, right after first rec. So 12, 1 o'clock, something like that. So they got us down on admin, and next thing I know, they're hitting my door saying, you got to go to property, right? So I go to property. They got the detectives in property. And the bitch is like, the first thing she says to me, I say, man, take me back to my cell. He's like, no, you got to sit down. So I sit down. The bitch is like, I heard you witnessing an assault, right? The whole time I'm the one that, one of the ones that did it. I said, check this out. I didn't witness anything. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, I've been doing this long, 13 years, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so have I. I was like, take me back to my cell. I'm like, don't ever disrespect me like this and bring me in no closed doors with no detective. You know what I mean? It was a homicide detective because they were saying that we tried to kill this dude. You know what I mean? So which is all right. We were trying to kill the dude. So they put me back in the cell. Next thing you know, they called my cell buddy up there. So he's in there for a little while. So mind you, I'm sick. Like this is, I got 5.5 years and on 10. I only got like 2 years left. If I didn't get any more good days took, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So boom, he comes back. Mind you, I'm sick. So immediately I go to sleep. You know what I mean? So as soon as I fall asleep, 2 kites come under the door. One has my name on it, which is OEM, one I mark, and one has no name on it. So I take the one with no name on it and I give it to my cell buddy, my roommate. And I look at my kite. It doesn't say shit on the one with my name on it. So I put it under my mat. About an hour goes by, I fall back asleep. Next thing you know, I hear him, he's rustling around the cell. So I stand up, put my shoes on. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Because I'm thinking that they sent a kite under the door to tell him to do something to me. Just being paranoid. That's how the cookie crumbles. You know what I mean? So he's like, no, man, everything's all right. And as soon as I get back in my bunk, like I still got my shoes on now. You know what I mean? We're in a solitary confinement cell. We just have our TV and shit. It's called admin seg, before you get found guilty of a ticket. So boom, he starts yelling upstairs to the fucking dude who sent these kites. So mind you, as they're talking, now I know the other kite that had no name on it was supposed to come to me too. It's telling me to whack him in the head with a fucking lock while he's asleep. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm faced with a problem. I know the dude that sent the kite, he's not nobody, but he's saying he is. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, was this a real order, or was it some dumb shit that he just thought of? Because what happened was the dude I got locked up with, he was central finance for the whole jail. So they're extorting him every time he catches. When he gets drugs, they're pushing up on him. You know what I mean? So basically what they tried to do, they tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They tried to tell me to whack him so he didn't run his mouth and say, hey, I didn't fuck that money up. They were pushing up on me, and I had no choice to give it to them because they're high ranking. You know what I mean? So basically, I bucked it straight up. I told him, I said, look, the dude that slept upstairs, I stayed in for rec the next day, and my cell buddy went out. The last thing he said to me, he said, man, how you going to carry it if they tell you to whack me? I said, and this is what I told him. I said, yo, if it's an order from the compound, I'm going to fuck you up in here, yo. I said, I'm going to put that lock on you, bro. I said, but if it's coming from this motherfucker that's been locked up for 7 years behind the door, he was behind the door for 7.5 years. He had no clue what the fuck was going on. And you know, after about 10 months of being behind the door, you're all fucked up. You're deprived. You know what I mean? You're talking in crazy talk. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Like, you heard me, all that shit. You say you heard me about 7,000 times in 10 minutes. So basically, so I get to rapping to Yo, and I say, Yo, what's up with my cell buddy? He's like, yeah, you gotta do that. I say, ho. I say, where is this coming from? You know what I mean? He's like, it's coming from me. I say, hold up, homeboy. I said, who is this coming from? Just to make sure. He says, man, it's coming from me. I say, yo, no disrespect to you, bro, but I don't know who the fuck you are. I knew who he was, but I knew he was saying he was somebody and wasn't shit. You know what I mean?
White dude?
So anytime white another, you know, he was a dog too. You know what I mean? But he was saying he had rank when he didn't have shit. And we knew, everybody on the compound knew he wasn't in no position of power. But people behind the door were just feeding into it. You know what I mean? So basically, I told him, no disrespect. This shit ain't come from the compound. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So basically, so then at the end of the day, the people on the compound were kissing his ass because they're trying to say they don't know if he's that or if he's got the rank that he's saying. So when I come off, they beat my body. You know what I mean? They sanctioned me 50 or $100. I can't remember, but that went to drugs. They sanctioned me 50 or $100, and then they put me back on the first thing smoking to basically give people an idea what it means. First thing smoking is you got to do another mission. The first mission that comes up, you got to do that shit. You know what I mean? And you have no choice. Mind you, I done whacked 8 people already.
So really, they want you pretty much. They're like, man, fuck it, he's expandable. Kind of like, and I hate to say this because it's not meant towards a disrespect, but this is how that gang life works. You're kind of like the do boy now. We do whatever we want. The mark man just use it as an excuse and, you know, throw them out there. The missile, like you said earlier. So,
absolutely.
Listen, Mark.
I watch good dudes get used and abused like that. And then by the end of the day, that's how the organization crumbled. You know what I mean? Because you're using all the good people for shit you should be using flunkies on. You know what I mean?
100%.
They're disposing of all the leaders that are standing up for righteous shit. You know, I'm for not getting high at this point. I'm for building our finances, shit like that. And the whole time they're like, oh no, we want to get high. We want to do our thing. You know what I mean? They're extorting the fucking finance. So my job, the reason why I bucked it is because my job in the building, I was the building FG or building head. So you call it, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the FG means field general. So every building had a field general, and that was my rank at the time, right? So my job is to watch him, right? So when they said he did all the drugs that he can't compensate for, I knew they were lying because Shorty did not use. All he did was drink. You know what I mean? His drug of choice was cocaine uptown.
All right, so listen, check this out. We're going to do a part 2, right? I want to talk a little bit about, before we get ready to close, I want to talk a little bit about where you're at right now, man, briefly. You're at a halfway house right now, right?
Yeah, I'm at a halfway house. I just got out of jail custody. I'm going to keep a buck with you. I call it domestic violence. And being though my record is so fucked up, they charged me with first-degree assault, second-degree assault, right? And my lawyer kept saying, this is the deal they're offering. You either take probation or they're offering 18 months to 6 years, and they're going to seek 6 years because you got 5 other felonies. I've been in jail. I've been in prison 3 times. You know what I mean? I got 2 possession with intent marijuanas, armed robbery, first degree assault merged, possession with intent cocaine, and a manufacturing cocaine, all from 3 different cases. You know what I mean? So boom, they hit me with this first degree assault, and the second degree assault, I could have beat the first, but they said if I take this shit to trial, they're going to be seeking 6 years.
How much time did you get?
You know what I mean?
How much time did you get?
Oh, you want to say it again?
How much time did you get?
I did 9 months, and they released me from custody. Time served, 10 years suspended sentence, time served, and I got 5 years probation. I mean, with my record, that's basically like a setup move. You know what I mean?
I hear you, but listen, this is the deal, right? Right now, you're at the halfway house. You're doing good. You want to do good. You walked away from that gang life, and I want people to know, like, the moral of the story is, man, when you're in a gang, right? I want young dudes to see this. When you're in a gang, you get to prison, and you think, man, these are my homies. These are the people that got my back. I got their back. Next thing you know, they're sending you on a dummy mission. You're in the hole. You got no commissary. And eventually, man, you wake up and you say, damn, man, I'm sick and tired of being the dummy, right?
Yeah, straight
sick
up.
And tired of being the missile.
No
man.
bullshit.
So look.
Yeah, that's all you are, bro. You're expendable.
Oh, that's the message today. You're expendable. You're a nobody for real. If they can use you, they're going to use you.
You're shit. You're not.
I'm going to close. Listen, I'm going to close the show. We've been here a long time, but we're going to definitely kick it again. We'll set this up again for tomorrow. All right?
Yeah. Hey, I got a great story. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, it's the most scariest situation I've ever been in my life, bro. Happened up Cumberland, maximum security.
Don't tell me today. We're gonna talk about tomorrow. But listen.
All right.
The great story is this. This is what I want the great story to be. That Mark finally got his life together, man, and you're doing the right thing. That's what I want the great story
hell
to be.
Yeah.
All right. So listen. I'm gonna close the show, man. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. We're gonna do a part 2. I promise. Until tomorrow, we're out.